This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
A kiss on the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Okay, now we were hoping he'd get around to that
We
one.
were.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend. I was Marilyn Monroe, I think, in
That's
the
right.
movie, certainly, version of that song. It's all about diamonds on this episode of Boomer Life. I'm Sterling Fox, joined in studio by Stephen Benolio, who is a principal with Canadian Estate Diamonds here in Vancouver and Canadian Noble House Diamonds. And we've talked about jewelry and gold and Canadian Estate Diamonds, buying both from people who are interested in selling their heirlooms and precious stones and perhaps rings and remembrances of relationships, shall we say, gone by. But we didn't talk about watches. And I know there's a renewed interest in watches because, of course, Apple just released its new watch last week, even though it's not going to be on sale for another few months. So watches go through fits and starts of being popular. And Apple, I guess, is hoping it's a start time for more popularity. Tell us about watches at Canadian Estate Diamonds.
I think I'm a little bit like yourself, Sterling. I look at the younger generation, and none of them wear a watch. So you wonder about its future. On the other hand, Switzerland is enjoying a renaissance today. The watches that we all thought would go the way of the dinosaur they're shipping millions. And I think part of it, again, it's Asia and the love of brands. So a Rolex, a Patek Philippe, they aren't going to leave the domain of fine jewelry. And men especially, I think, aspire to them as a status symbol, and certainly the Chinese do. So that's something, again, it's in the realm of an estate if we're buying estates, and we have to know about them, and we have to know how to put them back to work in the trade. So I think that'll be more of an international transfer.
Okay.
I think that's something that is... as with other pieces we bought, probably headed back to mainland China.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned Rolex and other high-end brands. Those watches frequently have diamonds in them, don't they?
Oh, they do. That's right. We actually have a lady's watch in right now with a couple carats of... Hers was an Ulma, but the aftermarket, they'd done the bezel and they'd done the strap with diamonds. And I guess the good part of it is it doesn't matter if someone's never heard of an Ulma, because it's an old Swiss brand, it's still gold and diamonds, and the style is timeless. So I think we'll be able to work with her watch and make her happy.
Interesting. I wanted to ask you just a question about the international marketplace, because you're a global guy. You've been all over the world learning your trade and enhancing your knowledge of diamonds and precious metals. Precious metals, it's gold that I wanted to ask you about. And of course, you do a fair bit of buying and selling in that at Canadian Estate Diamonds. But gold has traditionally been the place where people go when there are times of uncertainty. We get worried about global, and we've got a fair bit of that going on. So even though gold is still considerably below its peak value of a couple of years ago, it was 1,800 plus. It's up around 1,300, so still $500 off peak, but still way up there relative to 20 years ago. But diamonds, you're saying more and more of them are being used in the same way. Do you see a point ever in which diamonds will enjoy the same status as gold, Stephen, for people to buy and use as a hedge, as value against paper money, which may or may not have value? And we've seen that in the last 100 years, where, the $300 loaf of bread in the Weimar Republic, those things.
It's a good question, Sterling, and I don't think it will ever be in the same realm as gold, but it has a different place in the future for people in terms of it's the most portable commodity on the planet. You can put $1 million into your shirt pocket, and if I could tell you of a big diamond that I saw in an office in Antwerp, it was probably 20 years ago. It was a very big, I think it was 25 carats, and it was $2 million. And I asked the fellow who owned it, I said, well, who buys a diamond like that? Who is the typical customer for a $2 million diamond? He said, well, it's an American. Usually he's worth over 10 to $25 million. And for him, this is the end of the world. This is his hidden money that he's going to put in a safety deposit box. And if an apocalypse happens, a world, whatever reason he needs an intense form of money that's portable. It's his hedge
Right.
against terrible times, and that is not unusual. If you look in the past 15, 20 years, a lot of people came out of Asia, Vietnam, with diamonds.
Yes.
Because that was the only way they could carry their wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, today, often Vietnamese will buy a diamond based on its diameter because they didn't have a scale at home when they were buying these diamonds to make their escape from Vietnam, but they could measure the diameter. And they knew if it was 6.4 millimeters, they had a 1-carat diamond.
Okay.
So they don't come in and ask for a 1-carat diamond so much as they want something over 6.4 millimeters, and that's still with them today. And it was also certainly the way in the Second World War. It was a way that you could leave Nazi Germany. You could, wherever you had to escape from, you could carry your future in your pocket.
Are
so
diamonds
it'll always hold that.
Are diamonds as liquid as gold? I mean, there's usually always a buyer. If you got a bar of gold, you can usually find somebody to buy it in a pinch, because
Right.
you're not going to be able to buy groceries with it. Diamonds are the same way. Are they easily sold?
They are today more easily sold. The reason being, if it's a GIA diamond, it's laser engraved on the girdle.
Okay.
So it's got a number that is, as long as you could read the number with a 10-power loop, you can go on to their website, you can look up the size and the quality of that diamond, so can anybody buying it from you. So you're not selling any kind of unknown entity. That's like having a 24-carat stamp on it that's
Right.
irrefutable. So that makes it more liquid. Is it as liquid as gold? No, I don't think so. On the other hand, if you buy the right diamond with the right certificate, it's always going to be very liquid. And I bought over the last year from a lady, I think she maybe didn't trust the Canadian government, came here from China with 2 6-carat diamonds, a 4-carat. All of her money was in diamonds. She was liquidating them to put them into condominiums for her and her daughter.
Okay.
So I guess if you don't trust your government, that's one way to walk away with your million.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And as you say, diamonds just not very hard to conceal.
No, that's right.
Interesting stuff. Also, on the matter of hedging and all the rest of it, and you mentioned etching. You mentioned laser etching because these are certified stones.
Right.
Diamonds. My apologies. There's that faux pas again.
All right, we do it
I
too.
struggle with this every episode. We have a Canadian diamond that's laser etched with a polar bear. Does that polar bear diamond, is it, we think it's special, we'll stand in line and pass on others because we're Canadians and that's one of ours.
Right.
Does the rest of the world see our Canadian polar bear diamonds in the same way we do?
Oh, well, I think that it was really the first of a branded diamond.
Yeah.
Everybody found it interesting, and for me it was interesting for 2 reasons. I mean, we put the polar bear on a course to show where it came from, but we also did it to show that we were cutting to an ideal standard. We were taking them into the top 2 or 3% on how they were cut in the world. So we were trying to build an aura around a brand. I think if you look at where goes the future of it, I think what we try to do today is bring back the romance. So we can, and we laser engrave an endearment on each of our diamonds.
Oh,
Things
okay.
like until the end of time. We can, of course, custom engrave anything you'd like to say, short of printing out the Bible.
Right.
But we can, any endearment that you would like to have if it's special. Otherwise, we just intersperse 4 different ones that we think if one day you looked at what Grandpa had put on Grandma's diamond, you would, it's an heirloom, right? So we try to take that through the generations, and that's our angle on it.
Okay. Well, I'm curious because Canadians are strangely very proud of those polar bear diamonds. It's just so surprisingly Canadian. Most of us, as a kid growing up in this country, I had no clue that we had diamonds. We knew we had gold and plenty of that,
right,
and lots of other rocks and trees, but diamonds? Well, what a pleasant surprise that was.
It was a surprise for me to see that Canadians cared. At the beginning of the North, it was all about, I thought, price and quality. That's all that had ever entered into it before. And no, we had people willing to wait 6 months or a year for the exact kind of Canadian diamond they wanted. So,
and do many come back to you, by the way, at Canadian Estate Diamonds too? And people bring all sorts
polar
of
bear diamonds.
Have you had any back?
There has been one or two.
Really, but rare, huh?
Oh yeah, they are rare.
Interesting
I
stuff.
think people have decided they're a collector's item.
Canadian Estate Diamonds and Canadian Noble House Diamonds share the same accommodations at 736 Granville Street in Vancouver, up on the 8th floor. I'm going for a visit next week. Caroline and I are going to drop in on you and hopefully take you out to lunch after we do our session, Stephen. But
fun.
I'm very much looking forward to going through the process, as clearly many CIL 650 people already have, and hopefully many other will make their way down to Granville in Georgia for a visit and an appraisal.
Good, and I love to show people what we do. So if you just let us know you're coming, give us a call. And we'll show you how diamonds are cut, and if you want to sit down at a bench and give it a try, we might be able to work that out.
Oh, I'd love to. I'm looking forward to it. CanadianEstateDiamonds.com, and all of the contact information, the phone numbers, the email, all of that stuff right there, and lots of beautiful diamonds on that website. Stephen Benolio, good to see you again. Thank you for jumping in on another round of Boomer
I always
Life.
have fun here.
And we'll see you next time here on CIL 650.